Take on more and more responsibility, either as known as the providers or governing body committees or whatever. And I think the college is doing a very good job in exposing you all to the problems and the need to be cautious in being avoiding these problems. Prabhupada used to give an example. If you have a blade of grass by itself, it is easy to break. But if you mix the different blades of grasses, then it becomes strong and strong, the rope. If you have a stick by itself, easy to bend. But if all the sticks are grouped together, then they are not to bend. So we need to be united. In the verse we read, the Lord was pleased by the purchasers because they were all engaged in devotional service. They all had one common goal: glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead by chanting the mantra given to them. And the Lord said, give me all benefit. Ask me for any benediction you want. So Prabhupada often told us, purity is the fourth. And Prabhupada often told us, Krishna is not a poor man. You remain sincere to Krishna's teachings, and Krishna will take care of what is needed. So, in ISKCON, we need good management also. It's not that Prabhupada didn't believe in good professional management. Of course, the basis or the real goal is to practice spirituality. But Prabhupada, by his own example, showed how he was very, very strict and professional in managing. I have this book here. I'm sure you have seen this book, The Beginning, So in this book and in the other book, the diary, you see that Prabhupada would write down every penny that he would spend. If you read it, every penny he would spend before he went to India, before he left India, and after he arrived in the West. He would write down everything. So what does this show? It shows that Prabhupada took a very professional approach. He told us, whichever money comes in, deposit in the bank, and whatever you want to withdraw by check. And that will be, the bank will do your bookkeeping. The point I'm trying to make is, Prabhupada emphasized spirituality. And we can talk about management, but the most important management for ourselves, for this institution and its members, is spiritual management. But at the same time, we also have to have professionalism in our management. Prabhupada said, we must have good organization. And Prabhupada was very practical manager. Once he got up at 12 or 1 o'clock in the night in Vrindavan, he saw the guard was sleeping. So the guard was sleeping. Well, how do you ensure the guard let us sleep in the night? The Prabhupada instituted a very unique system. He said every hour on the hour, the God will ring the bell. If it's 1 o'clock, you ring the bell once. If it's 2 o'clock, you ring the bell twice. If it's 3 o'clock, you ring the bell thrice. So, it's a very simple thing. It just shows you Prabhupada's approach to management. His goal was to ensure that the God doesn't sleep in the night. And he saw for 2 or 3 days in a row, every night Prabhupada would get up on his veranda to translate and see the God is sleeping. So he wanted to ensure this doesn't happen. So after this system was instituted, the gods naturally could not sleep. They had to stay awake, but they were instructed they would chant to ring the bell every hour. And Prabhupada, for example, was also very strict in terms of cleanliness. When Prabhupada would visit the temple, he would often see what is the cleanliness standard. I remember once we went in Vrindavan, sitting in front of the rooms in the front, and Prabhupada was asking, "So is everything clean in the temple?" And the president and myself, the GBC, said, "Yes, Prabhupada, everything's clean." And looked up on the fan, and off the fan was a small nest. And in the nest there was some eggs. Prabhupada, "This is what you call clean?" So he had very, very sharp eyes. And he was very, very particular about good things. We opened the Vrindavan temple in March 75. And at that time, I was the GBC actually, Goswami was the president. But still Prabhupada wasn't very satisfied with some of the activities. So there was a devotee called Kṛṣṇa who came to see Prabhupada. He was a businessman in Chennai. Prabhupada kept him over there to help with the management. He wanted everything to be very color, not a very one reason. And Prabhupada, as we know, was very concerned about saving Krishna's money. When Prabhupada went to the West, when he had a small room, at that time the emails were not there. The people would write letters. And Prabhupada would open the envelope inside. Normally people throw away envelopes. But Prabhupada would open it and write inside. And use that envelope, which would normally be thrown out, just to show this is Krishna's wealth, don't waste it. So, we have to realize that everything belongs to Krishna, 𝐾𝐲𝐬𝐭𝐫𝐞𝐞. And as managers, Prabhupada wanted us to be very, very careful in managing his resources. At least here in India, Krishna has given us, by Prabhupada's mercy, a lot of resources. We have so many big temples in India now, and we have properties worth millions and millions of dollars. The challenge is going to be to manage these big institutions so professionally that we don't waste a penny and we utilize everything in service of the Lord. So, we need to work together. We need to remain united in our goals. We need to be united in our activities. In our Krishna conscious movement, we have people of all walks of life. This is purely an international movement with branches all over the world and with people of virtually every background, living under the same roof. In Kali Yoga, even for mature families to stay together, is that an easy job? Yes. In India, there's a big family called the Ambani family. Just two brothers, that's all. The father left them with a lot of wealth, and they worked hard and expanded it. With such a huge fortune, wasn't enough for two brothers. They had to fight, go to courts, and eventually settle. So in Kali Yoga, to remain united is a real challenge. And from my experience, even in managing temples, one of the biggest obstacles and challenges is getting everyone to work together. Especially in temples where you have many department heads, many chiefs, it becomes a real challenge. Why? Every leader, every department head wants to think, my way is the best way. But we have to understand that humility and tolerance are necessary for spiritual success also. If we analyze Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Shiksha setup, which only has 8 verses, you will find the essence of the Vedic literature nicely presented. In the 3rd verse of the Shiksha setup, what does Lord Chaitanya emphasize? Tolerance, humility, isn't it? More humble than the blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false poetry. These are the big obstacles to unity. It is important that as leaders, we ensure that all the leaders are working on the same wavelength. The devotees today are very sharp. I've seen situations where people join, when they first come to our movement, they think everybody in this ISKCON is a Vaikuntha. They're all pure devotees. And they have a very high expectation from the leaders that they're going to work with them. But then after they stay in this group some time, stay in the environment, they say, oh, they're not Vaikuntha. They're also fighting here. You have leaders with ambitions. And leader A says, I'm your counselor, follow me. And leader B says, follow me. And this desire for fulfilling our goals takes preference over what's good for Krishna. So we as leaders have to understand our real goal is to please Krishna. And to please Krishna, we do what's right for Krishna. Doesn't matter what I think, what you think. We have to see what's good for Krishna. And as leaders, the best way to attract others, in my opinion, is also practicing humility. In the material world, humility is seen as a negative factor, am I right? People think, oh, if I'm humble, I'll be exploited. They're going to misuse it, they're going to trample me, everyone's going to walk over me. So we don't want to practice humility. But in spiritual life, humility is an asset. And humility doesn't mean just very sweet, smiling. Sometimes people think humility means pretend to 100 dandavats a day and just smile. In my opinion, humility means ready to be corrected, ready to be directed, and ready to do what's right for the institution, what's right for achieving our goal, which is to make the environment Krishna conscious and make everybody Krishna conscious. If that is our paramount concern, then that will help in the atmosphere of being Krishna conscious, that will help in the temple making spiritual progress. So it is very important that in every temple, the leaders work together. Sometimes we see the leaders, they get threatened. Oh, this devotee is so sharp, I'm not going to do my job. And we don't encourage the individual as much as we should. So my observation is, in situations where the leaders are Krishna conscious, leaders want to work together, practice humility, and sacrifice for their personal ambitions, the temples make good progress. The temple remains united, and as Prabhupada often said, the famous British phrase, united we stand and divided we fall. That's really true. And as I said earlier, Prabhupada said, the real challenge to ISKCON will not be from outside but inside. That's why in our differences with the Ritviks and by Madhapandas, the real difference arose from inside, not from outside. So it's very important that we as leaders train ourselves to understand, I'm not in this movement to realize my personal goals. I haven't come to this movement to use the movement as an opportunity for me to control people's lives. I'm coming here to serve. And be a servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. And if that is our mentality, that will help us in making spiritual progress, that will help us in remaining focused. In our scriptures we see about all the great devotees. They were so humble. In fact, if you go to do research in the lives of many of our Vaishnava acharyas, you will find, you can't find anything about their life. And one reason you can't find anything about their life is they did not want to be glorified. They didn't want to be famous. So they didn't leave much literature behind on their background. Krishna Kaviraj gives us a good example. He says that, don't even take my name. Even if you take my name, all your good fortune, all your good qualities will disappear. So humility and tolerance are very helpful in curbing our false ego. And it is nice that in the GBC college, you're getting exposed to different management techniques, how to manage the temple better. Sometimes devotees think that, oh, there's still much of mundane philosophy, ours is a spiritual movement. That's a fact. Ours is a spiritual movement. It doesn't matter how much material education you have, unless you have a strong spiritual foundation, it's not going to work. Just like in any building, if the foundation is strong, the building will hold. If the foundation is weak, the building will collapse. So as leaders, we have to be exemplary in our sadhana. And being exemplary in our sadhana inspires the juniors to also follow your example. And Lord Chaitanya several times emphasized that we have to practice what we preach. Lord Chaitanya, Haridas Thakur, Sanatana Goswami told Haridas Thakur, some practice but do not preach, some preach but do not practice. But you are simultaneously doing both. Therefore, you are the perfect master. So as leaders, this verse is very applicable to us. We have to practice what we preach. And as I said, devotees joining our movement, especially those who are educated, are very sharp. They can see through. This leader talks basic philosophy in the classes, quotes so many verses, but he doesn't practice. I've had so many situations where I've had people come and tell me that. So we have to be very strict at this point. We practice what we preach. And if we practice what we preach, it's going to make the management job a lot easier. People are going to have faith. Yes, this leader practices what he preaches. And many people follow him. One of the reasons why Prabhupada was so successful, of course, the main reason was his purity. And he was the empowered Acharya to spread the holy name of Kali-yuga. But also that people could see that he practiced what he preached. He cared for everyone. And of course no one can match Prabhupada. But the basic element, the basic point that I'm trying to make is we have to be seen as managers who practice what they preach. If we're not seen as managers who practice what they preach, it's going to make a job of management a lot harder. And you're going to have a disunited circle that externally may appear to be united, but internally will not make much progress. Whereas if the leaders especially, a lot of burden is on the leaders. As the Bhagavad Gita says, whatever great men do, others will follow. So being a leader means whether you are temple president, GBC, supervisor, vice president, department head, you have to understand you're carrying a heavy burden on your head. And the burden on your head is you have to be exemplary. And if you're spiritually exemplary, transparent, then people will work with you. Then they'll make sacrifices. It's not that people don't want to make sacrifices, but people want to make sacrifices in the right environment. And the right environment means in a correct spiritual environment. So, you devotees have a great responsibility, and we should use the best of management techniques. Bhakti Siddhanta Ji was the first Acharya in our disciplic succession who ever sat in a vehicle. Before this talking about never sat in a car. He was the first Acharya who sat in the car and explained the philosophy of Yoga. So Prabhupada took advantage of this philosophy of Yoga. Prabhupada used the ship, the aeroplane, the cars, everything to spread Krishna consciousness. But we have to be careful. Use it for Krishna or not for yourself. Sometimes we have the tendency to dovetail. I like this, I'll start dovetailing. But a higher realization is generally using everything in service of the Lord. So we should encourage devotees, and we want to encourage devotees. The best example is to preach by example. Give the devotees the understanding and we care for them. If we're just going to, the devotees feel, my leader just wants to use me, then he's going to discard me. You're not going to get the best out of that. I think devotee care, this is a branch that has been, the GBC body has been devoting a lot of time to discuss this topic, devotee care. I think it's very, very important. Every temple leader must make the devotees, especially the brahmacharis in the temple, feel protected. Many of them are given they come from educated backgrounds, they come and join the temple. And if they don't see that environment, then they get discouraged. So, devotee care, giving up a false ego, always keeping Krishna in the center. We should never think, what's good for me? What's good so that I get a better position? We should see what's good for Krishna. What's good to spread this Krishna consciousness movement. And we are so fortunate that Prabhupada has virtually given us everything. Prabhupada gave us everything we need to go back to God. Wonderful books. And now with technology, you have a folio, virtually on any topic, you can get so many quotes of Prabhupada. Beautiful temples, beautiful deities. He gave us everything we need to make spiritual progress and to manage perpetually in this form. Even though Prabhupada lived on the planet for a short time, but within a short time, He gave us the ideal framework, gave us enough quotes and instructions that virtually answer all our questions. I find that everything we need to know, any research you need on any topic, you can get an answer by going to the folio. So we have everything. But unfortunately, Kali Yuga is there, Maya is also working, Maya tries to bewilder us, and the powerful influence of Maya prevents us from totally spirit, prevents us from crushing our false ego. So we need to crush our false ego, because our false ego is the greatest enemy of a spiritual progress. And false ego causes disunity in the temple also. So they say that talk is cheap. You heard that before? Easy to talk, difficult to practice. So that's a fact. It's easy to talk. Easy to say you're not this body. Pure spirit, soul, eternal. But to practice, I'm not this body. Pure spirit soul requires a lot of endeavor. But as they say, God helps those who help themselves. So Krishna is ready to help us. Just like in the verse you read, the Lord was telling the spectators, now ask me for any benediction you want, we are pleased by your devotion. If we sincerely try to help, Krishna will help. Prabhupada, we know, he with only 40 rupees, which is virtually nothing, $6 at the time. But he had the strong determination to carry out his Guru's order, and because he sincerely endeavored, Krishna gave him success. And I've seen those leaders who work strictly according to Krishna's plan and Prabhupada's instructions. They also get success by Prabhupada's instructions, Prabhupada's mercy. So I think at this point I can talk and take on some questions. I'll be happy to answer as many questions as you have. And that will be fine. Should I go on? Take question. Hare Krishna.
How many of you would like to ask questions? Please raise your hand just to have a sense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll start with the first 5.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for your darshan and for a wonderful discourse. So,
where are you from?
From Nepal, Professor Gopāl. So, you have explained very nicely like how Srila Prabhupada wanted us to have a nice sadhana as well as professionalism in management. So my question is, isn't it like in ISKCON we are having lots of problem, conflict, because we are still not pure, that our false ego is the biggest disturbance, and our seniors authority or management authority, they are giving more than 2 devotees the same job, same service. Isn't that also creating a conflict? So if we can...
Maybe I can answer your question in parts. So what's the first part of your question?
Like when the management authority gives more than one person the same job, isn't
Before that you said something else.
Yeah, I mean, because we have we still have false ego, we are not pure. Isn't it that?
We all recognize that we are not pure. But the good news for all of us is, we know the path how to become pure. That's like Krishna says, Devi Shakunamaya Mamaya Duradu. To overcome the illusion energy is very difficult. So someone may say, oh, Krishna said it's so difficult, so what's the hope? And Krishna said, but if you surrender to me, then you get. So false ego is no doubt our enemy. We have enough ammunition that tells us how to overcome this false ego. It's not that we're going to start. Now your other question was, the one authority,
one authority giving two or more devotees the same job.
one authority giving the same job, or
I mean, the responsibilities are not very well
defined.
Well,
the fact of the matter is, our managers are not professionally trained. We have leaders and positions who haven't really undergone that much training. And I believe that one of the goals of the GBC college and education is to train managers out. So, you're talking about one manager giving different instructions to different devotees.
Same instruction to different devotees. Isn't that also one of the causes like we are creating conflict?
We will be more specific. One manager tells 2 devotees, same job.
Yeah, like let's say the manager says like, okay, you go and preach in this area, make lots of devotees, and he tells also another devotee. So since the devotee come up with different ideas, varieties of...
He sends both the devotees to the same area.
Same area to preach.
If he wants to do that, he should get the 2 together and say, I'm sending both of you to that area, please cooperate. There's no harm, you can send 10 people to one area. As long as everything is coordinated. It should not be, okay, I'm sending you to the area, don't tell anyone. And then I have to send somebody else to the area, don't tell anyone. But if everything is coordinated, then there's no harm. I think that's the way I look at it. Does anyone have a different opinion? In our management, I find being straightforward is the best example. If you're straightforward and you tell the devotee exactly what you want them to do and what you're telling the others, then the devotees will cooperate. Or if they feel that you're saying one thing on one person's back and another on his back, and that would give rise to misunderstanding. Very straightforward but sweet. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about the austerity of the tongue. Probably know that. And one of the austerities he says, speak the truth, speak it speech. We speak the truth, speak it speech. Okay, more questions? Yeah.
Thank you very much. So I am interested in your opinion as a GBC of this balance between accommodating a society, accommodating a group of people, and then you could maybe say the truth of a matter. I mean, we just discussed yesterday the female gurus, there is a book editing issue, there is the rhythmics, and there might be a truth about it. Prabhupada had said something, but it's not possible to implement it because it will create social unrest, disunity. So could you elaborate a little bit on that balance? I mean, we might know something is true and we should follow, but it's not possible due to social considerations or unity issues.
Are you talking specifically about the female guru issue or just
No, I'm not thinking
anything in general?
No, I'm balancing this kind of like, balancing, the truth with keeping an organization together at the same time.
But if we stick to the truth, the organization will stay together. Whether female guru or any other issue. People may have different opinions, but we discussed openly. ISKCON is a very open society, and to a great extent is also quite democratic. Like even in the GBC body, different issues are discussed. They discuss very, very openly, and members are allowed to express their feelings and their thoughts. And in many other organizations, if there's a scandal or something, it gets hidden under the carpet. But it's kind of so democratic. So there's no secrets in this, which I think is a blessing. You discuss something with GBC and tomorrow it's all news. So there are no secrets. So the point is, there may be so many issues that need discussion. And in ISKCON there's a process of open discussion. And by mutual discussion, things get settled. One thing is, in ISKCON you have a lot of educated devotees, educated leaders. And they may have different views. They may have a slightly different viewpoint than we. That's normal. That's to be expected. Even in Prabhupada's time that existed. Unity in diversity. But we still discuss and come to a settlement based on the teaching that Prabhupada gave. As long as we remain committed to Prabhupada's teaching, as long as we accept that basis, everything that Prabhupada gave us. Prabhupada said, this movement will go on for the next 10,000 years. As long as we have proper teaching as a basis, we can have as much discussion as we want. Then come to a mutual settlement. As far as I can remember, there hasn't been any issue for the past 50 years where everyone didn't agree, so we had a big fight or something. Eventually everything gets settled. Sometimes some issues take longer time for settling, but the process of discussion is very much encouraged in ISKCON. And it's but natural that in a big society you're going to have people with different viewpoints. Even in a temple, you have people with different viewpoints. But the process is mutual discussion. And according to what GBC body, for example, comes to a conclusion by taking a vote. Prabhupada gave us that system. He gave us a system of management, president, vice president, GBC. But he also gave us the system where we discuss and based on how people vote, come to a conclusion. We should never have the system that my way or the highway, as I say. I know you think like that, good critics. That is not a healthy attitude. And in ISKCON, there's plenty of opportunity for discussion. Is that your question? More questions? Yes, sir. Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I am Vikram Govindadas from Kanyakumari. Happy to hear your lecture. And
We're happy to meet you.
we have met you 2 times. And in line with this, I have one small feeling, like when there is a differences in the higher level, they can understand there is a common thing. We saw Gopāl. But in lower levels, this small gap is seen as a huge thing, and as it goes to the lower and lower level, it is seen as a big differences. For example, the case of female group, and also of recent the initiation. First initiation is not at all initiation promoted. So it is seen like in a lower level as a big gap.
What do you define as a lower level?
Means like GBC level, then next there are so many senior or mature level, and then as we go down to the new bhaktas and the just new initiated, that's like me on a lower level, we see so many differences. So is it necessary for the GBC to be open with their differences to all? Normally, which we don't do it in a family.
The female Dixon crew.
Not only female, any issues.
Because in my travels in India, I mean hundreds of devotees a day, regularly, no one has ever discussed with me the female Dixon crew issue. I mean that's more of an issue in the island level. I haven't seen anyone in India come, any commentary come to me and discuss it. I'm a liberal, I'm in favor. I'm just saying what I haven't had. Now regarding, so your basic thing is, people in the lower level see some difference. Well, management should be very open. GBC discusses things very much in the open. And the GBC resolutions are read out. It's the duty of the GBC man to make sure that in his zone, the GBC resolutions are read out to the devotees in 𝐿IKE and explained. And if any devotee has any question, he can ask the local president who is reading all the resolutions, and the president cannot answer, and the president can turn to the local GBC for guidance. The point is, by and large, things are discussed in ISKCON. Nothing is pushed down people's throats. I've never seen that. There's no strong authority in ISKCON that says, this has to be done, no discussion. There's no such thing. We have national councils, regional councils, divisional councils, and at every level there's discussion. What I'm saying. And for anyone to expect, it's such a big society, we have thousands of devotees, different backgrounds, good education, there are going to be some differences. You can't, this is not a traditional, ISKCON is not like a traditional Hindu movement where the Guru lives with his disciples and that's all that's it. It's not the, as Prabhupada said, it's national. We have people of all walks of life and any decision we make has to be analyzed, not only in terms of how it will be applied locally, how it will be applied internationally. We have to look at the international world. That is right. Yeah. Yeah.
Krishna, can you throw some light from your experience how to harmonize the lines of authority, spiritual and managerial, especially for the leaders when the both authority are the same, spiritual and managerial authority?
Tricky question. If the authority is not spiritual and material, then you can ask one and go to the other. And say, he said this, and don't he say. For those who are wearing 2 caps or 3 caps, some people wear 2 or 3 caps. One is the cap of GBC, one is the cap of 𝐾𝐲𝐬𝐭𝐫𝐚𝐜, one is the cap of being a guru. GBC means the managerial cap, guru means the spiritual cap. They also have to be careful that people don't feel they're being pushed in the corner. And that makes their job tougher. But at the same time, one should not think, oh, because he is both my guru and my authority, I have to follow him. I would not do that. So, one is a GBC and a guru, and there are many leaders in ISKCON who are in that position. They also proceed very cautiously. We are not slave drivers, or we see what the other person wants to do. If he doesn't want to do, try to explain it to him. And if he still doesn't want to do, then what can you do? I don't think any authority that I know forcibly tries to get someone to do something. And if he does, that's not correct. But at the same time, we also have to surrender to like parampara management. Parampara management means every temple has a local head. Every temple may have a council. So, and then above the local president, there's a GBC or zonal authority or whatever. So we also should respect the parampara system of management with proper gate. One of the weak points in 𝐾𝐲𝐬𝐭𝐫𝐚𝐜 is everyone thinks I'm God's greatest gift to humanity. There's no one sharper than me. I know exactly what's right. isn't it? Our egos are so heavy. Your physical weight may be 60 kgs, but your ego weighs 120 kgs. And our egos are so proud and strong that we don't feel we need any direction. One of the essential ingredients of humility is, I am ready to be corrected, ready to be directed, ready to be guided. That is humility. Humility doesn't mean just bow down and offer Dhanabad and drop sweet words. Lord Chaitanya was asked, why you chant the holy name like a madman? You should sit down with us and study the Vedanta. God in humility said. The spiritual master thought, I was a fool. He said, this is all you're capable of doing. So that should be our mentality. I am a fool. I need direction. That will solve 99% of the problems in every man in the temple. You look at any temple leader, 90% of his time goes away in solving inter-devotee tensions. The same 90% of the time could be used for preaching. But it's used for, there's dispute, there's dispute, there's dispute. Am I right? Or your temple may be exception. So why are we settling disputes? The bottom line of most disputes is ego. So we need to get ourselves in humility.
Raj, would you like to take the Gayatri break? We are very close to the solar noon. We'll take 5-6 minutes if you like. And then we continue.
What do you say? We take a break at what time?
Right now is a good time to chant the Gayatri. For 5 minutes, we could just do the Gayatri and then we continue.
You take a break at 12 o'clock, maybe. Why didn't we take a break at 12 o'clock?
We generally go by solar noon when the sun is at the zenith.
Okay. Now it's at the zenith.
We're very scientific.
Okay. That's the part of your GBC college education.